All right, well, welcome everyone. My name is Amanda Baker. I am an assistant director at the Career Development Center, and I'm going to go ahead and share my PowerPoint slides with you, hopefully. Okay. So I'm an assistant director at the Career Development Center, and we work with both undergraduate and graduate students to help them with all aspects of their career search. And I'm delighted to be here tonight. Alana?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Alana. I'm the grad director for the grad programs in the College of Business and Public Management. And we're excited to talk to you tonight about growing your LinkedIn profile and network. Lillian?
Sorry about that, bad habit. I'm Lillian Miller. I work on the public management side of the house in the College of Business and Public Management. So I deal mostly with public administration, criminal justice, and geography and planning. I do recognize one name here. So welcome. Thanks for taking time out of your dinner hour to join us.
My name's Nick. I work with our MBA and Human Resource Management programs. And yeah, thanks for joining us. We're excited to get started.
All right, we're going to do a real quick icebreaker just to get a sense of who's with us tonight. We'll be talking about an overview of the career services that are available to graduate students. We'll be talking about networking. Doesn't look like there's too many of us here tonight, so we may or may not do breakout rooms if not too many people join us. We will talk a little bit about LinkedIn, how to use it, how to improve your profile. We'll do a demo of LinkedIn and we'll leave plenty of time for questions. Again, if you do have questions during the presentation, please feel free to put those into the chat and we'll make sure we get those answered for you. Oops. All right. So let's see if I can launch this poll. So you should be able to see a poll that says how many years of experience do you have beyond your bachelor's degree? And you can select the choice that best fits your level of experience after your bachelor's degree. Has everyone had a chance to click on their answer? Hopefully. All right, I'm going to click on one just to see if it records it. Okay. All right, well, I'll go ahead and end that poll and share the results. So it looks like most of us have less than 3 years of experience, or all of us have less than 5 years of experience. So that'll help us frame our comments this evening to make sure we give you the best experience. So the Career Development Center on campus does serve the needs of our graduate students. Everything that we talk about tonight, you can schedule an appointment with a career counselor to get a sense of what we do, gain assistance with anything I talk about this evening. We do offer job and internship search. If you're going on for a doctoral degree after a master's degree, we can help with those searches. We do help with resumes, curriculum vitas, and cover letters, and other kinds of application materials. Like tonight, we're going to talk about interview preparation and networking and LinkedIn. We also have a lot of identity-based resources. We do several events throughout the year, including our large job and internship fair, which is at the end of September. We expect 150 companies to be on campus. We also do a series of industry meetups and have several platforms you can use to support your career development. One of them is called Big Interview, and if you take a picture of the little QR code, it will take you right to the Big Interview site. You can log in with your single sign-on Westchester email address and password. You can practice your interview skills. You can choose from a large bank of questions. They also have a lot of video content on resume writing, interview skills, and salary negotiation, which is all really top-notch information. So our goal with Big Interview is to help you improve your confidence and improve your style in interviewing. If you are an international student, it can be tricky to find a job in the US after graduation. So InterStride is our best resource for international students. They offer visa and immigration support. There is a job search for H-1B and OPT options. They offer webinars, newsletters. There's a lot of networking tools. It's a great resource for international students. We have a career closet on campus in our space in 225 Lawrence that is free to all Westchester students. We have business professional attire. The closet is part of the resource pantry that's done through the Center for Civic Engagement and Social Impact in conjunction with the Career Development Center. Oops, okay, whoops, there we go. So as Westchester University students, you do have access to Handshake. Handshake is primarily a job search database. It is the largest early talent network that is available. All of our students have access to the database. There are over 1,400 universities on Handshake, over 18 million students on Handshake, and over 600,000 employers on Handshake, including all of the Fortune 500. This QR code will take you straight to the Handshake app that you can download on your phone. It's available both in the App Store and on Google Play. And again, you can log in with your single sign-on university email address and password. And if you are a current student, you may have signed up for this event on the Handshake app as well. And I'm going to turn it over to Alana and Nick.
Hi, everyone. I actually will not take too long on this slide just because I think all of us on this call are current graduate students in the College of Business and Public Management. But if you do know of anybody that's interested in joining, applying, participating in other events, please know that we are here for them and for you. And we are accepting applications now for fall still and 2024. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you. Nick, did you want to add anything?
Nope, she said it.
All right. It sounds good. So we're going to talk a little bit about networking, but I want to get a sense of how we're feeling about networking, right? I find that most people find networking as not the right tool. Here we go. Launch. So hopefully you are seeing our networking tools. So I'd like to know, how are you feeling about networking at this point in time? Fantastic. You network all the time. No big deal. Really good. You network when you need to. You know what to do. Okay. Kind of uncertain. Not very good. Super awkward or awful. I avoid networking like the plague. Right? Some of us are okay. Really good. That's great. Some people are fantastic. Excellent. You're my people. Okay, just give another couple seconds here. And we'll go ahead and end the poll and share the results. So it looks like most of us feel like we're in pretty good shape when it comes to networking, but it can always help to get a little bit more information. And we're going to have a chance to network with each other tonight as well. All right. So networking is part of a proactive job search, right? A lot of people will go on Indeed and just click apply to a bunch of jobs. That is probably not going to get you the results that you want. If you actually do a proactive job search and do networking as part of your job search, you are much more likely to have a successful job search and find a job that is the right fit for you. So you can find professionals at conferences, at career fairs, through professional organizations, through events like this on campus, through informational interviews, and lots of other places as well. So who is in your network? Well, everyone you know is in your network. Everyone on this call tonight is in your network. The folks in your classes, your faculty are all in your network. The alumni of Westchester University are all in your network. The employers that come to information sessions and career fairs are all in your network. And all of the people they know are also in your network. So I suspect your network is much bigger than you think it is. Think about everyone you've ever worked with is in your network, and all the people they know are in your network. So there are a lot of people that you can find that will be helpful to you as you are looking for folks to network with. Actually, before I go any further, I just want to stop and make sure, are there any questions? No, we're good? Okay. All right, so to get started with networking, the best thing to do is do some company research. So part of your company research can involve networking, but if you're reaching out to folks in your network, it may be helpful to know something about the company they work for before you reach out to them. And when doing company research, you can look up things like, what is the industry all about? What are the trends going on in that industry? For a particular company, what are the mission, values, and goals of that organization? These are great things to comment on when writing a cover letter or when on an interview, when they ask you why you want to work for their organization. Don't say because it's located close to home. Talk about their mission, their values, and their culture and the company research that you have done. You can learn about things like their diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, their sustainability impact, their community involvement. Lots of companies will promote these 3 items pretty heavily if they are doing them, and you can typically find that information pretty easily. For most companies, it's also pretty easy to find their products and services. It's a good idea to know what the company does, what they're about. If they make something, if they build something, if they offer some kind of service, it's a good thing to know about the organization. All companies these days have an About Us section where you can learn their history, where they have press releases, you can learn what's in the news, and you can learn the locations where the company is located. This is the kind of information that will probably generate other questions, so it's a place to start. And then it's a great place to then go to your network and say, tell me more about how the company implements their mission, into their day-to-day work. How does their sustainability really impact, what's going on at the company? I see that there was a big historical change 10 years ago. How has that change impacted where the company's headed today? Right? So the research that you do can really generate questions to ask your networking contact, and can give you great information to then write cover letters and to talk about in interviews when they ask you why you want to work there. You can find this information in quite a lot of places. Of course, our favorite, Google. Employer websites are a great place to start, but you can also find information through LinkedIn. Glassdoor is a great place to look for good, bad, and ugly information on different kinds of companies. The old school Better Business Bureau is a place where you can look at how a company is ranked. Sometimes there are chambers of commerce. For example, in Westchester, there is a Westchester Chamber of Commerce, a Chester County Chamber of Commerce, and several local chambers of commerce in the area. Often reputable businesses will be a member of the Chamber of Commerce, and it's a great place to find more information. I would say blogs are also a good place to look. So as you are Googling a company, I would Google words like sucks, right? Vanguard sucks. And then you're going to find a blog post about someone who had a bad experience at Vanguard. Because I think you want to know, and not to pick on Vanguard, but I think you want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly about a company that you're considering working for. If a lot of people have had a bad experience working at a place, or there's a high level of turnover, that should tell you something about whether or not it is a good fit for you to work there. And that's a very personal question that really only you can answer, but there's a lot of great places to look for information. I would say our library on campus is another great place to look. The business librarian has excellent resources on researching companies in the greater Philadelphia area. And you can take advantage of those things as a current student. So when you are networking, your goal is to get a meeting with another person, another human. And we call that meeting an informational interview. Don't let those words stress you out. You're the one conducting the interview when it's an informational interview. It's a low stress situation. You're usually not on the spot in this case. It's a place for you to learn information. So the best thing you can do is come up with a list of questions, and I think I've got a list on the next slide of things you want to ask your contact. So you've made contact with someone, you have set a meeting, maybe you're meeting them on Zoom, maybe you're meeting them on the phone, maybe you're having coffee. Any of those types of meetings are appropriate. You might need to be able to introduce yourself, but primarily you're going to be asking questions of the person you're talking to. It's almost like you're the one doing the interview. It's a great way to learn the cultural requirements of a job, to get a competitive edge in an interview. So if I've networked with 5 people that work at a company, I can then go in and on an interview, I can tell them like what kinds of things. When they ask me about their company, I can then tell them the things I have learned about their company through doing information interviews and through doing my research. It's a great way to develop your self-confidence. When you are applying to jobs, it often feels like you are applying into the abyss, right? You submit this application, who knows where it goes? You may or may not get a response. I find these days, if a company's not interested in interviewing you, they just never contact you again. And that can be really, really frustrating. Back in my day, which makes me sound 100 years old, we used to apply on paper with a resume in the mail, and we used to get rejection letters. So I don't know if this is better or worse. I had friends that papered their dorm rooms with their rejection letters, but now you just hear nothing. So a really good way to have a positive experience while you are going through your job search process is to network with people. If your goal is to ask for advice and information, most people would be delighted to take some time and give you advice and information. Think about this for a minute. How many of you, your spouse, your partner, your kids, your roommates are absolutely sick of hearing about your job, right? So if a very interested, eager student wants to hear all your stories about work, you're going to feel pretty good about telling them all of those things. And you're going to feel really good about the person you're talking to in that information interview. So the magic of networking is you go and you ask all these questions and you're a good listener and you say thank you. Suddenly the person feels really good about you and is more willing to refer you to their other acquaintances that they know, other professional connections that might be a good fit for you. Because even though they've done all the talking, they're going to feel really good about you. So always the last thing to ask during a networking meeting is, who else do you recommend I talk to? Because now that they've gotten to know you a little bit and they feel really good about you, they're going to be much more likely to refer you to their friends and colleagues. So if you reach out to someone cold and you say, do you have a job for me? The answer is likely to be no. But if you reach out and you say, hey, could you give me some advice on breaking into your industry? Sure. And sometimes students will say to me, oh, but it feels so needy. It feels like I'm asking for help. It doesn't feel good. Let me put it to you this way. Think back to high school or your undergraduate degree, especially if you were not at Westchester as an undergrad. Or think back to high school if you were at Westchester. Suppose your favorite teacher contacted you and said, I have this junior in my class who's really interested in doing a master's program at Westchester. Would you be willing to talk with them? Of course you would. And you probably could tell them the good, the bad, and the ugly about Westchester, who the best professors are, how to get their schedule done, where to go for help, where the best pizza is in town. You could tell them all of these things, but you probably can't admit them to Westchester, right? Nick can do that. The rest of us probably can't do that. So while you can't formally admit them, you can tell them all the things about how great Westchester is and what it's like to get a degree here. It's the same thing with networking. The person you're talking to probably can't hire you, but they can tell you all the things about what it is like to work at their company and what is going on in their industry. All right. Oh, yeah. So here, you're welcome to take pictures of any of my slides. Here's a great list of networking questions that you can ask the people that you meet with. And you'll notice something about these questions. They are open-ended questions. And not all of them are directly about the job. What is on your reading list? That should tell you something about the industry you're getting into, right? What future trends are coming in your field? Most professionals ought to be able to answer that question pretty easily. You'll also notice we never ask someone directly what their salary is. That would be really inappropriate. But you can ask, how does your career affect your lifestyle, including your time, your material needs, your family time, right? So you can ask it in a way that you will get an answer that helps you without saying, dude, how much money do you make? Because no one wants to be asked that question, and no one wants to answer that question. And then, of course, the last thing is, who else do you recommend I talk to? And how can I help you? As you are going through this process, there might be ways that you can help the person in front of you. Maybe they've got a student going off to college that needs some advice. Maybe their company is going to be hiring someone in 3 months and the job's not posted yet, but you would be perfect. Maybe you have a great connection to a faculty member that they would like to have. So there's ways that you might be able to help your networking contacts as well. So always keep that in mind. My recommendation is to have about 10 or so questions on your list to ask during a networking or informational interview meeting. You may not get to ask all of them. You might get to ask more than that. And the goal really is for you to gather information. So remember, this is part of your company research, and hopefully you research the company. Of course, you can ask things that are not on the list here. This is just a nice place to get started when you're not sure what to do. When I have done networking events in person in the past, I've usually put a list of questions like this in the program so that when students are nervous, they have something that they can ask the alum or the employer sitting in front of them. So again, the goal is to have open-ended questions that help you learn the information you need to know to decide whether or not this industry and this company would be the right fit for you. See. Okay, before I go there, any questions at this point before I go on? Okay. So one thing you do want to be prepared to do is introduce yourself. As you are networking with folks, we use what's called a 30-second commercial or an elevator pitch. And this comes from, okay, imagine you get in an elevator with the person who has the job of your dreams. What could you say to them before those elevator doors open to get a meeting? So this can be used with a networking contact. This can be used in a cover letter. This could be used at a career fair. This could be used at any kind of in-person networking event. And you're probably going to need this for your information interview to introduce yourself to the person you're talking to. You're not just going to be able to launch into your questions and never say anything about yourself. So a nice way to think about how to give your elevator pitch. Hi, my name is Amanda. I am a graduate student at Westchester University earning my MBA. And then think about, what are the 2 or 3 most important things I want this contact to know about you? Maybe it's a cool internship that you've done. Maybe it's the job that you have now. Maybe you played a sport as an undergrad. Maybe you were a member of like a club or a national organization like the American Marketing Association. Maybe you've been riding horses since you were 3. Whatever the most important things you want this person to know about you, say that first. What are some points that sell you and who you are to the person you're talking to? What separates you from your competition? And depending on the setting you're in, end on a question. So when we started this program, the 4 of us introduced ourselves. That was essentially our 30-second commercial. We told you our name, we told you our job title and what we do on campus and how we work with students and how we can help you. That's a 30-second commercial. So if you meet someone at a career fair, They pretty much want to know your name, your year, your major, and like, why are you talking to me? Right? So maybe you're interested in internships. Maybe you're looking for a full-time job. Maybe you're just curious about the industry. So you can end on a question. If it's at like a cocktail party type of networking event, right? Being able to ask good questions is a great way to keep a conversation going. You know, hi, my name's Amanda. Hi, you know, my name is Joe. And then like, what do you say next? So if you have some of those great networking questions in your pocket, or you can introduce yourself in a way that is interesting, it gets a conversation started. Our entire goal here is to build relationships with other people. So you want to be able to introduce yourself in a way that is interesting to the person you're talking to. So if I'm in a situation where I'm at a networking event, I might say, like, people don't always know what a career counselor, right? So I might say, my job is to help students become who they're going to be. That's intriguing, right? It gets people thinking. It gets people interested in what I do, and then they want to ask me other questions. So think about what you do and how you do it, and can you present that in a way that generates the other person to ask you questions as well. Anytime you meet with someone, we want to make sure you send a thank you note. So any person who takes the time to meet with you, answer your questions, you know, have coffee, whatever it might be, send a thank you note. This can be the handwritten kind that you used to send to grandma for birthday gifts. This can be an email, depending on the person you've met and your relationship with them. It could be a text message, although I would go email over text in most cases. Always thank them for their time. Thanks so much for taking the time to have coffee with me on Wednesday morning. I really appreciated your insights, you know, into the finance industry. Reiterate your interest and enthusiasm. Thank you notes are great. Let's say you forgot to tell them something really important about yourself. You can do that in a thank you note. Let's say you made a mistake. You can fix it in a thank you note. A thank you note is a great way to keep in touch after an interview or after a networking meeting or after a career fair. And it's never too late to write a thank you note. Let's say you met with someone 2 weeks ago and you never thanked them. Send one now. Update them on what you're doing. It's never too late to send a thank you note. All right, let's see. How many of us are, oops, how many of us are here? All right. There we go. All right, so we have a few folks with us today. I don't think we're going to do a breakout room. And I'm happy to pull my slide back up again, but let me ask you this. Is anyone feeling brave enough to unmute themselves and share their 30-second commercial? And I can pull that slide back up again. Any brave souls out there?
Yes, I will. I volunteer.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey. So introduce yourselves to us the way you would if we're a stranger.
Okay. Hello, my name is Jeffrey Waldman. I'm a graduate at Westchester University studying criminal justice. I currently work at the First Judicial District of Pennsylvania, and I have been here for a year and have welcomed all, you know, new challenges, responsibilities, and I believe that I've outperformed, you know, what I was initially here to do, and I'm looking to, you know, use my education to move on to something with more responsibility.
Excellent. Very well done. Thank you so much for sharing. When I do in-person events, I will often line students up and have them say this to each other and then switch people and say it again. By the time you have said it about 5 or 6 times, you usually have it down. So this is something you really want to practice and get better at. All right, in terms of our breakout rooms, does anybody else want to, any of my other guest speakers want to chime in or ask a question for the breakout room?
Oh, want to give them an option? One of the two. Oh, you mean on this on the commercial?
Since there's so few of us, I don't think we're going to do a breakout room, but if we had done a breakout room, what would you have done? And would you like to do it now?
Yeah, I think the elevator pitch is a great exercise. So if anyone else feels confident giving it a go, this certainly still can. But that's definitely my preference.
I wasn't going to do an elevator pitch, but we talked about asking. I mean, I know there's not a lot of people here, but we talked about asking, like, what was one of the hardest interview questions that you had to answer?
Great question. And you're welcome to type that into the chat or unmute yourself and let us know what's the worst interview question you've ever been asked. While you're thinking about it and while you're typing, I'll tell you mine. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, I was a teacher. And I was on an interview for a job I really, really wanted. And at the very end of it all, the principal looked at me in the eye and said, "Why should I hire you?" And I was like, and all I could think in my head was, "Oh my God, you shouldn't," because oh my God, I had no idea what to say. And I'm sure I said something, but I totally blanked out all of that. And now I make everyone practice that, because that "why should I hire you" feels very like an attack, right? And so you want to be able to handle that kind of question and you want to be prepared for it. Anyone else put in the chat, what was your worst interview question? Or feel free to unmute yourself and let us know. Or any kind of tricky interview question you might have been asked.
I can share an experience, and maybe you can provide some feedback, Amanda. But I'll let you tackle Gina's first.
Yeah.
What is weakness?
This is a very common interview question. A lot of interviewers will ask you both your strengths and your weaknesses. I find that most people can answer the strengths question pretty easily, right? You can name 2 or 3 strengths. You probably can even give an example without really thinking about it. Nobody likes to talk about their weaknesses. So here's a couple tips to manage that question. First of all, we need an answer to this before you ever walk into an interview. I want you to think about something that truly is a professional weakness. Like, don't tell me you always date the wrong people. Like, that is not where we're going with this, right? We want a professional weakness. We want something that impacts you as a professional or as a student or in your work. And then how do you manage or deal with it in a professional setting? So let me give you a really dumb example. Oh, I always run late to meetings, so I set my watch a few minutes fast so that I won't be late. Nobody even wears a watch anymore. Not wearing one. But you see what I mean. Here's the thing that I know about myself that impacts my professional life. Here's what I do about it. You can also couch this in like feedback that you've gotten. When I first started out in college, I really struggled with my writing. So I went to the writing center. I took an extra writing course. And by the end of my second writing course, I got really good feedback from my instructor that my writing had improved significantly. And now I'm confident in my ability to write. So here you can also show an area where you have shown improvement over the few years that you've been a student. If you're really struggling to come up with something, lack of experience is a great one for especially folks with less than 3 years of experience to use, because you don't have a lot of experience yet. So you can say lack of experience, and then what would you do about that? Are you willing to learn? Are you willing to read? Are you willing to go to training? Are you excited to get to know the industry? Are you willing to talk to other professionals? Any of those answers are the right answer to my weakness is my lack of experience, but here's what I can do to mitigate that weakness in a professional setting. Hopefully that answers your question, Gina. Nick, what else were you going to say about tough interview questions?
Yeah, it was really great. Like, it's something we should all be prepared for, and I think we don't always think about it when we're in those situations. Like, oh shoot, this is a tough one. But there at one point I applied for a fairly technical sales job where I felt like I had a lot of transferable skills, and they were looking for a lot of those things, a lot of those soft skills, but also it was an elevator sales position. And they were looking for someone, I mean, ideally, maybe had an engineering background or something like that. But really, they just wanted, someone to have, they were looking for an applicant that could demonstrate that they had that some kind of technical expertise, that they had the acumen for it. And that was a struggle for me, and a hard time kind of figuring that out. In those kind of situations, what would you recommend, or how would you recommend somebody prepare for those kind of questions?
So I think if you're asked a question that you just really don't know the answer to, like sometimes it's a definition question, what's a bulge bracket? I don't know. I feel like if you really don't know, I think you have to say, I don't know, but I'm willing to learn. I'm excited that everything else about the position is the right fit for me. I'm happy to go to training. I'm happy to shadow a successful salesperson so that I get to learn the jargon and the lingo and the technical information that I need to know. Does that help, Nick?
Yeah, that's good feedback.
And I think when you're looking at interview questions, there's a lot of, particularly in business, weird and bizarre interview questions that they'll ask you. So my favorite one to make students practice is, how many blades of grass are there in a football field? Now, I don't know the answer to this question. This question is not about football, and it is not about grass. It is about, can you explain to me how you would solve that problem in a logical step-by-step way? Right? So it's not like trying to do math and tell me, oh, it's 1,352,000, because I don't know. Right? It's, how would you do it? Would you measure a yard and count every blade of grass in a yard and then do the math? Would you get 50 of your friends out there to count 1-inch squares and do the math? Would you actually sit up all night and count every single blade of grass? Maybe you would. None of those are the wrong answer. It's, what would you do to solve that problem? And can you explain your problem solving process to me? I think other wacky questions are things like, if you could be any kitchen appliance, what kitchen appliance would you be and why? It's not about kitchen appliances. It could have been dogs. It could have been pizza. I was once asked what Disney princess I would be, or what Disney character I would be. It's more about giving you a chance to talk about an object that is not you, when really you're describing yourself. So I was once asked what type of pizza I would be and why. And I said I would be and this was like off the cuff. I said I would be a plain cheese. Nothing fancy, but I get the job done. And that kind of describes who I am as a professional, right? Maybe you're a Hawaiian pizza because you're exotic and you love sweet pineapple, right? But it's not about the pizza. It's a way for you to talk about yourself when really you're talking about an inanimate object.
I was asked to give an instance of a time that I professionally made a big mistake while on the job and how I responded to it. So that kind of caught me off guard, especially because at the time I didn't have a lot of interview experience. And also going back on what you said, if people ask like niche questions about the job or the industry and you don't have experience in it, which I was asked like questions about like legal stuff basically, and I didn't know anything, but I just exhibited like a big, like I was very eager to learn.
Exactly.
And at the people hiring me, to them it's just boring, and I came in with a very static attitude, which I think helped. I would like to think it helped.
Absolutely. If I'm thinking about hiring you, I can train you on all those weird legal things that you need to know. I can't train you how to be confident, right? How to talk to people, how to sell yourself. If you're ever asked about stories, I just popped it into the chat. We recommend the STAR technique, which is situation, task, action, results, for a way to frame your story in an interview. There's a lot more information about that on our website. I'm going to move on to LinkedIn. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to improve your LinkedIn profile, and then if we have time, we'll go live on LinkedIn and take a look. So You can connect with alumni on LinkedIn. And there's a lot of folks on LinkedIn. You can follow Westchester University. You can follow the College of Business and Public Management. You can follow the graduate school, and you can follow the Career Development Center all on LinkedIn. So if you want to know what's going on campus and in your department and in your college, LinkedIn is a great way to find out that. Reanimation is similar to LinkedIn, but only for Westchester University folks. So this is a great place to connect with Westchester University alumni, to find a mentor, to learn about different industries. Every single alum on LinkedIn is there because they wanted to be on LinkedIn. Every single alum on Reanimation is there because they want to mentor and work with our current students. So you may have better success finding a networking connection on Reanimation than you will on LinkedIn, only because the Reanimation folks are more likely to respond to you. All right, so there's a lot of ways to create a LinkedIn profile. I'm going to assume you've all at least heard of LinkedIn and know a little bit about it. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to customize your profile, how to get noticed by recruiters, how to build your network. And it's a great place to track all of your professional achievements. For example, you can add your classes, you can add projects that you're doing in your classes, you can add all the things from your internships, you can add all the clubs and activities that you've been a part of, and every job you've ever had. All that stuff can be added to LinkedIn. Some ways to really make your LinkedIn profile stand out: add a photo. So LinkedIn statistics show that people with a photo, a headshot, get more clicks, get more activity than people that don't. So you want to make sure your headshot is pretty much what you're seeing of me do right now. Every once in a while, I see a picture on LinkedIn of like someone on a mountain, and they're this big, right, on the screen, and you can't really see who the person is. We want a headshot. Once you basically from shoulders up, we want to be able to see your face, preferably not wearing a hat, and a professional image. Sneak peek coming soon. We will be offering professional headshots in the Career Development Center this fall. It's not quite ready to go yet. Your headline, and I will show you this when I go live on LinkedIn. There's a couple ways you can make your headline stand out. You have a section called a summary section, which is an open paragraph. You can put anything you want there. Think about your 30-second commercial and those 2 to 3 most important things you want an employer to know about you. Put those in your LinkedIn summary. Put in your LinkedIn summary the kinds of positions that you are looking for now. Be sure that you add all of your relevant coursework, education, and experiences. Make sure you add your skills. You can even take some of the assessments on LinkedIn to add skills. You can request recommendations from all of your connections. LinkedIn gives you a nice way to gauge the strength of your profile and will make suggestions to you for how to improve your profile. You can create a personal URL. When I show you mine, you'll see what I'm talking about. And you can also create a badge for use on a blog or a website. You can also put your LinkedIn link on your resume so that if someone is looking at your resume, it's one click to get to your LinkedIn profile. All right, so let me go live on LinkedIn. See if I can do this. All right, so the question is, are you seeing what are you seeing? We're not seeing the right thing. So I'm going to stop this. Reshare my LinkedIn. All right. Oh, go back. Right. So hopefully you are seeing my profile on LinkedIn. You'll notice I've got this is a photograph I took of a table setup that I did. So it's got my Career Development Center on there. I've got a picture. It's my headshot. It's just my face. So that you can see, what I actually look like. This is my headline: mentor, collaborator, leader. You can think of, so by default, I believe LinkedIn will put in your current job title, or if you're a student, your current school, but you can change that headline to anything you want it to be. Think about keywords. It can be the job you're searching for. It can be all those things. They also have this great open to finding a new job. which you can like tell it what kind of job you want to look for. And then if you save it, you can also choose whether or not only recruiters can see this or everyone on LinkedIn can see this. Now, I'm just demonstrating this to you. I'm not actually looking for a job right now, but if I was, I might not want my boss to know. So I might click recruiters only, but what it'll do is put this little green open to work around your picture. So I'm gonna turn that off because I don't actually want that. Let's see. So here's my about section. So this is a place where you can put your summary. Mine's kind of short, but it has a lot of keywords in it. I do have 20 years of experience in higher education career development, and I've tried to use keywords that are a summary of all the jobs that I've had in higher education to show where my level of expertise is. If you are just starting in your career, you might talk about the things you want to do or plan to do in your career. You might talk about the skills you gained through your graduate program or through your undergraduate degree. For your experience section, you can add every job you've ever had. So I will tell you my story. I worked at Alfred University as the director of the Career Development Center for 4 years, and I got laid off during COVID. So Alfred University is in upstate New York in the middle of nowhere. It was a beautiful place to live. But I moved back home to Chester County when I got laid off. And I was very lucky to get this, basically a call center job through a temporary agency, which was work from home during COVID. And then I was delighted to find a position back in my field at Westchester. So it looks a little funny, but LinkedIn helped me get this call center job. So even though it was outside my field, it was still worth putting on my resume. And then going backwards, you can see I was a private practice career counselor for a time. I was a career counselor at Lafayette College for a time. And you can look through all 16 experiences. The other thing you'll notice is my descriptions are long. Because on LinkedIn, there's no space requirement. You can make these descriptions as long and as thorough as you want them to be. So you can add all the things that you can think of from every job you've ever had. On a resume, we generally have 1 or 2 pages and we're very limited for space. So I'd probably pick the 4 or 5 most relevant things to the job I want to put on my resume. But on LinkedIn, I can put all the things. Let's shoot back to my profile. Okay. Then you can add your education. So I did my undergraduate degree at Shippensburg, another grad state school in Pennsylvania. I had 2 master's degrees from Penn State, one from the Great Valley campus and one from University Park, which is related to what I'm doing now. You can add licenses and certifications. So some of these are LinkedIn credentials that I have earned. You can add your volunteer experiences. These are places where I have been on the board or on a committee for a national professional organization. You can add skills and you can be endorsed by your connections for your skills. And you can add recommendations. So I generally ask people that I work with to give me recommendations, and you can scroll through and 21 people have recommended me. Not that if you're having trouble sleeping, you can go read my recommendations. But otherwise, these might be of interest to a potential employer or network. I can add the organizations I've been a member of, and I can add interests. So this is a place where I feel like people underutilize LinkedIn. So you can follow people, you can follow companies, groups, newsletters, and schools. So again, follow Westchester University. If there are companies or organizations that you are interested in working for, follow them on LinkedIn. I'm following like 100 companies or something because I work with a lot of students who want to work a lot of different places. So I follow all kinds of companies. You can also follow top voices. So like, here's all the people I happen to be following right now. Adam Grant, you may, of course, Oprah, you've probably heard of. Simon Sinek is like one of my favorites. I was obsessed with Shark Tank for a while, so I've got some of them on here. Ryan Reynolds, because I don't know why not, he's funny. right? So you can follow personal finance, kind of a hobby of mine. So I follow Susie Orman and Sally Project. So you can follow all kinds of people. And all, again, all kinds of companies. You can be a member of different groups, and these could be related to your professional field or not. And you can follow schools. So I mostly follow the schools that I have worked at or attended. If you're applying to schools, you may want to follow the schools you're applying to. Let's see. All right. So then the other thing is you can add a profile section. So LinkedIn gives you, right, education, positions. Maybe you took a career break for some reason. I feel like a lot of people did over COVID. You can add skills. It gives you recommended areas. So projects is a great section for students, particularly students that don't have direct experience or an internship in their field. So you can add, I know you've done a million research papers, group projects, presentations. That's the kind of stuff you can add to LinkedIn. You can add the courses you've taken. You can add recommendations. You can add things like publications or patents if you have those. Any kind of honors or awards, test scores. So if you took the GRE, for example, you can add that. Languages, if you speak different languages, you can add those things. Causes that you agree with and support, you can add here as well. So LinkedIn really gives you a lot of options in terms of the kinds of things you can add. And then you can build a resume from this as well, although it's formatted in a funny way, so you may not want to actually do that. Are there questions about, I know that was really super quick overview of LinkedIn. Are there questions about LinkedIn or anything you'd like me to show in depth or in more detail about LinkedIn?
I'm not sure if you touched on this, so my apologies, but quickly, how often should you change your headshot or update your headshot?
For most people, I suspect it's several years, right? This headshot is actually the headshot I got when I came to Westchester. So it's new as of a year and a half ago when I started my job here, because I had lost some weight and I cut my hair. So I was like, I need to update my profile picture because my old one didn't look like me anymore. And it was taken in the office with art in the background from the place I got laid off from. So I didn't want to look at that every time I logged into LinkedIn. And I was like, hey, this Westchester picture looks pretty good. Up it goes. But frankly, if I'm getting older and grayer and heavier, maybe I don't want to update my LinkedIn picture too often. We want to make sure it's a picture that looks like you. If you are a young professional, you probably don't need to update this picture, but every 5 or 6 years, unless you drastically change your look in some way.
Great.
In fact, I was meeting a networking contact for coffee, and we had never met in person before. And she said, "Oh, someone who actually looks like their LinkedIn picture." So it really can help you to actually look like your LinkedIn picture.
Great.
And we are going to have a headshot booth available in the Career Development Center coming soon. Stay tuned for more information.
Awesome.
Anything else you'd like me to demonstrate or show or questions about LinkedIn? I will show this. If I search Westchester University, right, here's the primary Westchester University of Pennsylvania. You can see there's 103,000 followers. I'm following them, so you can view that page. We can look at companies. So the Twardowski Career Development Center, that's us, is in here like a company. So is the graduate school. So is the foundation. And I think the College of Business is in here as well. Right, so you can search on Westchester and follow the companies. We could switch this to groups and see if there are interesting groups we might want to join. We can look and see if there are jobs at Westchester University. Not on LinkedIn at this moment. We can look for events. Oh, no results found. People. So this should show us people that actually work at Westchester University. So we can check them out and connect with them should we choose to do so. So you can search on any kind of keyword and find people, groups, companies, job postings, and more, much more on LinkedIn. Anything else you'd like me to demonstrate on LinkedIn while we are here?
This has been really helpful. Thank you, Amanda.
Oh, my pleasure. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. If there are any other questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and fire away or add those to the chat. Again, we are happy to assist you in any way that we can. Let me pop back to my PowerPoint slide because I do have all of our contact information on there.
I do have just a quick question, and I think it might be informative for the group. As we graduate from our programs here at Westchester, are we still able to contact the Career Center as alum and use your services, et cetera?
Yes, the Career Development Center services are free to alumni forever. We are a little heavier on services for folks that are about 2 years out because we find that that's really the key time while folks are looking for their jobs or, maybe finishing up a last fun summer job and then looking for the real thing or applying to grad school. But our services are free to alumni forever.
Excellent. That's great to know. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah, Kenny.
Thanks for the presentation. It was really good. When you get a business card for somebody, and it's been a while, but also, what do you do afterwards, even if it's not been a while?
Yeah, great question. So what I like to do with a business card is write on the back of it where I met the person. So maybe it was a conference, maybe it was a networking event. I will write down the month, the year, and the event where I met the person. And if there was something interesting about them, or maybe they said something to me like, oh, here's my business card, give me a call sometime. Let's get coffee, or, I'd love to chat with you more about whatever unique thing that came up in our conversation. Oh, you're a knitter too. Let's talk about knitting. So even if it's something personal, I will jot that down on the card. And then I've got that record of that meeting and can follow up with them later. If you have a business card from someone and it's been a couple months and you sort of remember, but didn't write anything down at the time, no time like the present to reach out to them. Use some of the tips and advice we talked about today and reach out and say, hey, remember me? I would love to connect with you. I'd love to get, some advice and information. Would you have a half an hour to talk to me over the next couple of weeks? You might get a really positive response.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. All of our contact information is here. Again, you're welcome to take pictures of the slides. You have all of our email addresses. I think I speak for all of us when I say you are welcome to reach out to us anytime. We are happy to assist you with anything that you might need as a student or as an alum or as a prospective student. Any final words from any of my co-hosts?
Just a sincere thank you. I think even though I'm kind of into my career, and I learned a lot still. So thank you.
Yeah, same here. This was awesome. And we look forward to doing more events like this in the future. This is great.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you everyone so much for joining us. We hope you learned something tonight. Let's see. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I've got one more poll for you. So I just want to get a sense of, now that we've yacked about networking for an hour, how are you feeling now about networking?
I don't think the poll populated, at least for me.
Let me try again. Well, okay, never mind. We will.
Let's go with everyone's feeling great. There it is.
There it is.
How's feeling about networking now that we have talked about it for about an hour? I know everyone's fantastic. Yeah.
Awesome. Great.
Thank you all so much for your time. I hope you have a lovely evening. And remember, we are here to help you anytime.
Thank you all so much. Enjoy your night.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I think that was awesome.
Yeah, we're still recording.